What's going on, everyone? Today, I got Buel Collins, the man at Fiocchi USA, the
My man, how
Bullets
you doing?
themselves. How's it going, Buell?
Doing well, sir. Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem, no problem. Like I've been telling everybody, if they haven't met you, you are probably my favorite person I got to talk to at SHOT Show.
Oh man, thank you.
Yeah, it's just
I
yeah, it's
don't.
just
I
your
guess you only met like
personality.
three people if I'm your favorite, but I appreciate that.
Well, I know like every day when I was with Kevin, I always like, hey man, we gotta go over to the Fiocchi booth again. And he just kind of looked at me. I was like, hey man, I really do like talking to Buell. That dude is funny, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So can you tell us more about yourself and how you came to work at Fiocchi?
Yeah. So I'm always been into guns. I guess it was like something I was into as a kid that I just couldn't explain like my draw to it. I've always been into firearms and especially military history and things like that. And when I was probably about 17 years old, I actually met Mr. Fiocchi, and he became a family friend. And then eventually, as the company grew and grew, he offered me a job, and that was about 3 years ago, just a little bit over 3 years ago, actually. And it's been great, man. I love it. It's a nice, small family environment to work in, and we're all pretty tight knit, and it's great. And obviously, it's a dream of mine to work in the firearms industry. So couldn't ask for a better gig.
Oh man, I know you met some interesting people like through across the board in the industry.
Yeah, there's quite a few characters out there, man, and that's actually one thing that I've learned from the time that I started working here is just the quality of people you meet in the firearms industry is to me it's unparalleled in any other industry I've ever worked in. Often tell people that if you want to have a good influence on your children, take them to SHOT Show and introduce them to a bunch of those people because it's always yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, all that good stuff. Polite, generous with their time and energy. Just really high quality, high caliber people is what I've found through my time in the industry.
Oh yeah. So about my 20th time coming over to the booth, you was with the man, James Yeager himself. How did y'all actually ended up linking up with each other?
So how I found James and I'm lucky now that me and Yeager have developed a relationship and I can call him my friend. But when I first discovered him, I actually was using YouTube to watch Joe Rogan podcast, and for all intents and purposes, like YouTube was just a vehicle for me to watch Joe Rogan, right? And
Right.
somehow a gun video got thrown into my feed, and it came up, and I was like, "Holy crap! You can watch gun videos on YouTube. This is awesome!" And one of the videos was actually someone talking crap about Jaeger, and I was like, "Well, this guy seems kind of like a nerd. Um, who's this guy he's talking crap about? I want to go check him out." So I went and I looked up James Yeager, I watched his videos, and then I signed up for a class. And when I signed up for a class, I signed up through my Fiocchi email, and he reached out to me. He's like, "You're coming to train?" I'm like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Man, I've loved your products for years. That's awesome." I'm like, "Well, I'm a fan of yours too." So when I got there, he basically opened his whole facility to me and helped me out with anything I needed. Been very generous to me, and ever since then we've just kind of been, building a friendship and a relationship that's mutually beneficial. I think.
Oh yeah, yeah. I like talking to James also. I'm gonna go see him in a couple weeks as well.
You
Hang
gonna go
out with
take a
him and
class?
yeah, I'm gonna take a class with him. But you know me, I like to like sit down and just talk to people.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm gonna talk to Zero for about a couple hours.
Oh, he's good for that, man. He has
Yeah.
a lot of great stories. We took a class at Thunder Ranch together in February, and obviously training with Clint Smith was a life goal of mine. But just sitting there with Jaeger and Clint and Heidi after the class, man, and the stories that were passing around, and just listening to all that wealth of knowledge was incredible. I was truly humbled.
Oh yeah, yeah. I bet, man, if you was a fly on the wall, man, you could have wrote a book, and that would have been an interesting writing right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So now, are you an actual shooter, or do you just do it just because, like competition, or just a weekend shooter?
Um, I so my shooting generally bases around tactical shooting,
Mm.
and drilling on mindset, tactics, and skill. Um, I've shot a couple of IDPA matches, and I'm probably going to shoot a 3-gun match in the near future. I need to get better versed at the competition side of stuff, just for my job, just so I speak the language better and have a better understanding of what the competitors and what our sponsored shooters go through and what they need. But my favorite thing to do is to go out and take training classes. If I can spend my vacation money on going and taking a class, that's what I'll spend it on. You know, I'd rather do that than go to the Bahamas or to Disneyland or something like that. I'd rather go take a class. And particularly, my favorite thing to do is take force on force.
Yeah, so that's one thing I like to do also is take the training courses, because like all my friends always, hey, I want to go to the Bahamas or Europe. I'm more like, man, I want to go hang out with Travis Haley, Chris Costa, Clint, people like
Right.
that, just to, get better in the art of shooting.
Yeah,
So, what they say.
my wife keeps threatening me with a Haley class for my birthday. So um, I've always geeked out on Travis, so it'd be awesome to finally train with him.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I never trained with him yet, but I trained with Chris Costa, and that was pretty funny. We joked pretty much like the whole class, but he kept getting me, and I was like off kilter because normally my comebacks are really fast, and but he was just getting me. I was like, yo, man, this ain't normal for me right now. But I had
Dude,
a long
Costa's
week though.
quick, man. He's quick witted.
Exactly.
He's hilarious too.
Oh yeah, yeah, real funny cat, real funny cat. So, what's your favorite platform to shoot?
You know, it's a hard question to answer, because growing up, I was a poor dirty white kid, and all I could afford to shoot was a AK. Like,
Hmm.
I got my first AK when I was fairly young from my dad, and I could, you know, collect cans, sell eggs, do all this stuff around my little town that I grew up in, and make money. I could actually afford to shoot an AK, so I grew up shooting that forever. But over the last couple of years, I've been shooting so much more AR that it's a toss up, man. I don't know. I can't pick. I'd hate to live on the difference. You know what I mean? But
Right.
my favorite gun is the one I carry every day. It's my Glock 19, just because it's my constant companion, and I've got the most time with it, and I trust my life to it every day. So that's actually the one I'm most fond of, if you will.
I got you on that. Yeah. So I'm pretty much in that same boat. Whereas if you was to ask me, I do a lot of handgun just because I try to perfect the art of it. I do AR, but normally when I do AR, it's like if a friend of mine just happened to say, "Hey, let's go to the range and practice," or if I'm getting ready for some form of a competition that has AR in it. But as far as the shotgun, only time I ever do a shotgun is if I'm doing like a 3-gun, and I've only
Okay.
done three gun competitions, since I've been like out of the military.
You
But
like the 3-gun?
long range, I like the 3-gun, and the only thing I have against 3-gun is it's pretty expensive,
Yeah.
because like if you do it every month, and like say for instance, when I was doing USPSA, on the average, I would try to knock out 2 or 3 competitions a month, because you got a rating and you're competing against everybody in the nation. So I try to knock out at least 3 a month, but I can do it with 9 mil, right? Because I just bought bulk loads, like about 3,000 rounds a month, and that will carry me over. You know what I'm saying? Because each month I just buy 3,000 rounds. But if you try to do that with 9 mil AR and then shotgun, I was like, wow, that's too expensive, especially not being sponsored. So I every now and then I would do it, but I really do like it though. I really do like it.
My my
But as
like the thing I got to tackle next is, because like when I did IDPA competitions, or when I go shoot like a sporting clay competition, I pretty much have, the stuff I need. Like I shoot IDPA with what I carry, right? So I got all that stuff. But with 3-gun, like they start to look, they got all this gear, belts and shell holders and all that stuff. And I'm like, man, I don't have any of that. So, I mean, I know I could just go out there and run it, with my chest rig and, throw some shotgun shells in a dump pouch or something and do it. But I think the barrier to entry in 3-gun is pretty high. And I think that might hold back the sport's growth a little bit. If there was a way that it could stay competitive and have the barrier entry a little bit lower, maybe a different division or something like that, I think it would be pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Now I know in North Carolina, it's just a couple hours up the road from me. There's a couple ranges there. They do a 2-gun competition where it's just handgun and an AR platform. Last year I said I was going to do it, but I never got around to it. So I'm gonna try to hit that off this year as well. Just go up there and try it.
Yeah, that would be fun, huh?
Oh yeah.
And let's be honest, like the shotgun it's nobody's favorite, really. I mean, if you think about it, it's nobody's real favorite. They're cool, but shooting handguns and rifles are cooler,
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I know what I'm thinking about doing is one of the projects that I'm working on is I'm trying to get, like people in the area registered to vote.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and at the same time, I want to raise money so I can like finance a couple of police officers and sheriffs in the area to go through Brazilian jiu-jitsu, like the school to get trained.
Yeah.
Because my gym that I go to, they one day they sponsored 10 sheriffs to come through. And when you talk to them, a lot of them were saying this is their first time ever doing any type training like this. So, and I honestly believe if you get police officers into that type of training, it will bring down that
Big
conflict
time
resolution. Yeah.
Oh, big time. Confidence. First of all, the confidence that comes from a jiu-jitsu class is you get a lot less nervous, jumpy people. The ego, like I found that jiu-jitsu competitors and practitioners generally have a pretty healthy ego. They have it under control. They don't feel like they have to prove themselves to anybody. And just the fact that you can legitimately control somebody, pretty much, especially if you're a smaller guy, like you're a good sized guy, you're a pretty good sized guy, but I'm like a barely average sized guy. So for me, having some jujitsu and grappling knowledge in my background is very assuring. Have you ever heard of Performance Edge Training out of Kentucky? It's Aaron Little.
Right.
Remind me after we get done with this, and I'll connect you to, because he runs a school that's combatives and firearms. Like he uses blue guns and training knives and jujitsu and wrestling and stuff like that. And I just took his class a couple weekends ago, and it is really, really good and really, really expansive in its knowledge base. It might be something you'd dig.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely check that out. But yeah, so that's some of the projects that I'm working on right now. Like I said, I want to do the voting drive, but anytime I do anything, so like we're bringing out Kevin Dixie's Aiming for the Truth to Columbia on 21st of July, and I plan on having a voting drive there to get people registered to vote. And,
Awesome.
And then like when I do the fundraiser for getting the cop, I plan on doing a voting drive there also, but I want to do that as a shooting competition to bring people out, to raise money so we can finance them. And then also I want to put together a training course for kids, like getting kids over the summer into guns. Because I had a couple parents in the neighboring the next neighborhood over, because I took one of my old supervisors' kids out to the range one day. And then they all hit me up and they was like, hey, you should put a class on for that. Okay, well, I'll think about it. But, you know, everything costs money. So what I want to do is raise the money, get a couple 22s so I can train the kids on the 22s, but at the same time raise the money to finance the police officers and sheriffs going through the training, but at the same time still doing the voters drive.
Yeah, I mean, if you really connect all three of those things, you know, focusing on the youth and raising awareness and the future Second Amendment advocates is critical.
Mm-hmm.
And then registering people to vote. I mean, how much more fundamental do you have to be? And then helping train our officers that actually go out there and put their lives on the line to protect our families. You know, like if something happens at my mom's house, the police are going to be there way before I can be there to help protect her at this point. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
you know, I give a lot of credit to those guys out there. You know, a tough job. When you get ready to put this stuff together, send me an email. I might know a couple of people that might be able to help you, especially with that kids thing, to get that rolling.
Okay.
So let me know. And obviously, if there's something that Fiocchi can do, we can look at that too and see about the logistics behind that and what we got going on.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. That sounds good. Sounds good. So now let me ask you, what makes Fiocchi stand apart from other ammo companies, in your personal opinion?
Well, the biggest thing for me on a personal level is they pay all my bills. But
That's
from a
always
consumer
a good point.
from a consumer standpoint, and this is in all honesty, you know, I was joking there, but in all honesty, we're the oldest ammunition manufacturer in the world. We actually started our company in 1876 in Italy. We brought a production facility to the United States in 1983. We've been producing ammunition here since 1984, and we put over 150 Americans to work every day, which is something we're very proud of. The thing that really sets us apart from a user level is our quality control. We have 100% visual inspection on all of our products, so anything that goes out the door with our name on it has to meet a very high standard. My boss is actually Mr. Fiocchi, so 9 steps away from my desk is his desk, and he comes to work every day. He answers the phone every day, and if there's a subpar product, he's going to know about it, and he doesn't accept that. He says if it has my name on the box, it better be good. And you know, all due respect to all other ammunition companies, but there's not too many of them that you can call and the guy whose name's on the box will answer, frankly.
Wow. Yeah. That's pretty impressive right there.
And we, you know, the dirty secret of the ammo business is we can all source pretty much the same components. You know, we manufacture our own brass and that stuff and a lot of our own projectiles, but we work with companies like Sierra and Hornady and Barnes and get projectiles. But what really sets quality ammunition manufacturers apart is the loading process and the quality control. A second part of that is a lot of the machines we use to load are designed and manufactured by us as well. So we control quality control from, you know, basically from the dirt and bringing all the raw materials up through the manufacturing and loading process until it's in the box and out the door. And it's been a very good recipe for us for 142 years now.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, if it ain't broke, why fix it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Man, like I said, that's really impressive though. Now do y'all give tours to your facility?
We used to give tours to the public, but then we had a couple of ISIS threats or terrorist threats. One of them was definitely ISIS, and one of them was some other group. But they stopped really, you know, having the facility open to the public, unfortunately. But we do, you know, tours with like our sponsored shooters and influencers and things like that to just get product knowledge out there for the people representing our company. I wish we could just say, hey, you know, come down and meet me at the factory and I'd love to show you around. But with the climate nowadays, we're just a little bit more sensitive to it. And the reality is that even though we are generally maybe number 5 or 6 production wise on the U.S. ammunition market, we're still a small family company. We don't have a ton of employees and resources to maybe manage that whole program like you would expect from like a federal, if you will.
Right. Yeah, I could tell you, when I was in the military, I remember we was on the range this one day, and I'm not gonna say the guy's name, but he came in and put 7 boxes of Fiocchi ammo on the table. And he just kept saying, "Hey, I want to try out this ammo because I got this new gun." So one of his buddies recommended it. So I'm just sitting there looking. So what I ended up starting to do, I started switching out my ammo with his ammo. Started shooting it. I was like, man, this stuff shoots really good. But I'm thinking the difference, you know. But if he would have paid attention, because like all the ammo was real shiny coming out the box, and all the ammo that I had was kind of like dull and had like little rust spots on it and everything. But I don't think he really paid any attention to it. But I was like,
He's
yeah,
still
I
running
think I'm gonna
around
start
cursing us.
shooting
Man, that stuff.
this.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So go ahead and tell me what's your favorite Fiocchi product?
Well, I think the best bang for your buck product that we make is our products, because it's 223A, and that's our 55 grain full metal jacket boat tail, 223 round. I wouldn't call it match grade because we don't advertise it as that, but it's pretty close, and you can get it for a really, really competitive price. The load I shoot the most is our 9 APB, which is our 124 grain 9mm, NATO spec 9, and then I carry our 124 grain XTP load in my gun every day. So those are probably like my 3 most used rounds. But if you're into like 3-gun, we have a slug that's how do they say? Oh, it's got a varnish. Sorry, it's got a varnish on it, and it's a clear hole. And the varnish on the slug is red, and the wad is blue, so it looks really cool. But it was actually developed with Jerry Mikulek, and it's great for follow-up shots. It prevents leading and smoke for follow-up shots. So it's a really good round, and it's kind of a cool, neat, unique thing that we do. And then obviously you've done 3-gun. If you look down with that clear hole and that red and blue, with the wad being blue and the slug being red, you can easily identify it on your belt. So any of those competition shooters out there that are looking for a high quality slug to run through their matches, we have it's called 3GJM, and that's a whole line of products developed with Jerry Mikulek.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome right there. Now, do you sponsor Jerry and the whole family, or just Jerry?
We sponsor Jerry and Lena for shotgun shells, and then we sponsor Kay for everything.
Nice. Nice. Now, have you ever went out there and saw them shoot like in the competition?
Oh yeah, and one of the coolest memories I have actually was when we first brought Jerry on, and we were developing like the specific rounds that he wanted and the things that he desired. We brought him out here to our sales office in Las Vegas, and we went out and had dinner one night, and I'm sitting across the table from Jerry, just listening to him tell stories about him growing up and how he got into shooting and all this stuff. And that was another moment where I was like, how did my life lead me here? This is crazy. I'm sitting here with, the freaking Superman of shooting, and we're just having a normal conversation like, 2 dudes that like guns.
Yeah. The first time I had the opportunity to meet Jerry, they did a 3-gun competition on Fort Benning when I was stationed down there. And I was trying to get over there to one of the ranges that he was shooting on that day. But by the time I got there, they had already left. And then the next time was, last week or a couple weeks ago when we was at the NRA AM. I sat there and talked to him for a little bit.
Yeah, he's really good people. The whole family is great, and we're really, really honored to have them represent us. When we select the people that we sponsor, the character part of it is big. Of course, you want, like Jerry's name is Jerry's name, right? But just the character and the way he represents himself and the companies that he represents is pretty incredible. And that's a big thing for us. Another one is Lanny Barnes. We sponsor Lanny, and she's just awesome. Did you get to meet her at the NRA show?
No, I didn't meet her
at the booth. Oh, okay. Yeah, she's really cool too. Another great ambassador for us.
Yeah, I know everybody that I spoke to over there at the booth. I had pretty good conversations. But the one guy who you told me was a sales representative, I thought he was a bodyguard, the big guy.
Oh, Sam, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, man, this guy right here, he gonna choke slam somebody here in a little bit.
Yeah, Sam better just stay calm. I have to teach him a lesson. Yeah, I don't know where that guy buys his hats. I think he buys his hat at like the parachute store. He's so big.
Yeah, me and him, we only talked for maybe 2 minutes because he came over to me and he was like, "Hey, are you a shooter?" Like that, and I was like, "I do competition shooting, but not on the level of these guys." And I pointed to the guys that was doing the podcast over there at the table in your booth.
Yeah, that's another one. Diana Moeller and Ryan, they're also great people. Former Leos, you know, they're also really cool, really great people.
Okay, well, go ahead.
When you first started doing competition shooting, you were doing what did you say you're doing? ISP?
Yeah, my first one was USPSA.
Oh, USPSA. Okay, yeah. Okay.
So the way it went for me was I was training with Homeland Security when I was stationed at Fort Benning down in Georgia. And when I went through the Homeland Security training, one of the instructors was like explaining the story of one of the guys who was shooting. His name was Bill Rogers. And he started like Safariland, but he used to work for the FBI. And of course, you know, when they was doing IPSC back in the 80s and everything, it was a special forces guy that came down and went through it, figured like, hey, I'm special forces, you know, I can knock anybody out the box when it comes to shooting. But when he started doing the competition, everybody else was blowing him out the water. So, you know, the military hired Bill Rogers to teach what he teaches, and they had him on lockdown for 20 years, and it just let up a couple years ago. So he used that same format and took everybody to a competition shoot to show like, okay, this is how you're going to perform under stress if this was a real life situation. It blew everybody out the water, but at the same time, it caught me because I'm like, I'm not going to let this game beat me. So of course, you know, every week I started going out there, started like dry firing every night and everything, and got really good with it. And then it got to the point whereas whenever I would go someplace, I would plan it around if it was a competition. So like if I was going to Texas, I would specifically look for a competition, whether it was IDPA or USPSA. If I went to Virginia, the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So I would always travel around because, you know, like if you keep going to the, like, it's just like if you go to the same gym every day and you do jiu-jitsu, you're not really picking up new techniques. You're just picking up how to beat somebody because you know how their game is.
Yeah, you start kind of being predictable and predicting your training partner's movements and stuff. And you know, the people that set up the matches, they have the things that they do well and the things they like to do and all that. What I found when I did pistol competitions, as long as you, or for me at least, as long as I realized what I was doing and I wasn't trying to game it and win, it was really good practice for me. As long as I stuck to the fundamentals of what I do and all that stuff, I found that was a good way to practice and to add some intensity to things.
Oh yeah, like I said, I just love the stress factor. But the only thing I didn't like about IDPA was they would gig you on a lot of stuff, and it was all the perspective of the person that was the RO at that time.
Oh yeah,
that was the only turn off to me, you know. So now, from what I understand, they changed the rules in IDPA a lot to make it a little bit more enjoyable. Whereas you're not doing that whole political fight of, hey, I was behind the barrier, or you know, I dropped the magazine and had a round in it, you know, without gigging for points. So, but I haven't shot an IDPA match in about 3 years. You know, so I said I was going to try one here in the next month or two. But USPSA is what I really do enjoy because I felt like it was more challenging, you know.
Nice.
Yep. So now I'm gonna ask you a few. Just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. All right.
All right.
You don't have to explain anything. So it's gonna be a series of questions.
How PG is this podcast?
All right. So here we go. Gun control.
Stop it.
All right. Smith & Wesson or Glock?
Glock.
USPSA, IDPA, or 3-gun?
IDPA.
Favorite celebrity instructor?
Oh, James Yeager.
Okay. 115 grain, non-mil, or 124 grain, non-mil?
124.
Got you. Yeah, that was it. So I pretty much knew all the answers to those questions.
That favorite instructor thing is tough, man. James, like I said, James is my friend. Like me and him are pretty tight, and you know, we text and talk real regularly.
Right.
The thing that made it hard on that is I've always looked up to Clint so much, Clint Smith, and after getting to meet him and everything, and like I have a, like, this is gonna sound almost insulting, but it's like, man, I wish that guy was my grandpa. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I had that guy around when I was growing up. My grandpa's awesome, but Clint's on another level of awesome.
Yeah, that's a different level of knowledge right there also.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and close this out. And I do thank you for coming on to the Black Man with You segment. If people want to follow Fiocchi or contact you, how can they do so? So
for Fiocchi, everything is at Fiocchi Ammunition, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter's Fiocchi Ammo, but if you just search it, you'll find it. On social for me, if you look up Standing On Second with the number 2 in it, so Standing On 2 ND basically, that's how you can contact me directly if you guys want to follow the shenanigans of my life. That's where you can do it.
That's it right there. All right. So thanks again for coming on the podcast, and we'll be chatting with you here again shortly.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem.